Good morning, students of 10th standard. We are again back with English. Today, we are going to learn about science and spirituality. And as we know, science people, those who believe in science, are not mostly believing in religion. And there are people who are in religion, and some are there who do not believe even science. Science and religion do not go hand in hand. But then, it is always there are people, those who are scientists, they believe in God, and people, those who believe in God, also have trust in science. So here we shall see the lesson of the great person, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. We often witness conflict between two groups of people, one that believes in science and the other that believes in religion. Dr. Kalam was a great scientist, this is indisputable, but he was also convinced that the fact and faith can together create a better planet. He once told me, science and faith must coexist for the human good. Science provides focus helps us solve questions, discover the truth, and convince inventions. Faith provides perspective helps us see how our creations and discoveries go on to impact a combination vital for the success of societies. Science accelerates progress, and faith curbs it with reasonable limitations. If the two functions true to their roles, they will work together for the betterment of humanity. Dr. Kalam's own life was nourished by multiple faiths. His father, a boatman, also served as an imam at their local mosque, and his two best friends were from two different religions. One was a Hindu and the other was a Christian. Pakshi Lakshmana Shastrigal was the head priest of the famous Rama, Rameswara temple and a Vedic scholar, and the revered father Bodal had built the first church on Rameshwara island. Dr. Kalam recalled how all three of them, in the unique attire of their religion, used to sit and discuss the community's problems and find solutions. Throughout the nation and the world, the need to have a frank dialogue among cultures, religions, and civilization is felt now more than ever. Yes, my dear brother, yes, dear, my dear friends, students, it is very much important that religion should be only religious, okay, and they should come together to solve the problem, to find out the solution of the people, to ease the problems of the people, not to create more problems to the people. Today we see in the name of religion people are fighting against each other and destroying everyone. We need to live in harmony. We need to live in harmony where we need to come together and discuss things and work for the humanity. When asked where he got this humility from, Dr. Kalam, when asked where he got his humility from, Dr. Kalam would always attribute it to his father. In him, he saw how simplicity and divinity could go together. Even though his father was a boatman and Dr. Kalam went on to become the President of India, they shared the same values in life. Both believed that if one leads a spiritual life, then that spirituality can lift them out of any kind of confusion, misery, or failure. In the 1960s, when Dr. Kalam joined ISRO, it was just a fledgling organization, means new and inexperienced organization. His interactions with the great scientist Professor Vikram Sarabhai and the revered Peter Bernard Pereira shaped his thoughts on religion. It was here that he learnt about the true meaning of religious service. Professor Sarabhai and his team had selected a site in Tumba, Kerala, to set up their space research facility. It was an ideal site due to its proximity to the magnetic equator, but there was a major roadblock in getting possession of the site, as it was the fishing grounds of Tumba's fishermen. Moreover, it had an old church of Saint Mary Magdalene, a bishop's house, and a school, which was under the administration of the church. Government officials predicted that it would be impossible to relocate so many people from the site and destroy religious institutions for the sake of a space research center. But upon Dr. Sarabhai's persistence, it was suggested that they approach the only person who could help them in this situation, Father Pereira. the then bishop of the region. Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Kalam approached Father Pereira on a Saturday evening. The revered said, "Oh Vikram, you are asking me for my children's abode, for my abode, and for God's abode? How is it possible?" Father Pereira then invited the party to visit the church on a Sunday morning. Dr. Sarabhai, his team, and the forever inquisitive disciple, Dr. Kalam, took up the offer. At church the next Sunday, the revered invited Dr. Sarabhai up to the dais after the prayer service. Turning to everyone present, he said, "Dear children, here is a scientist, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. What does science do for us? We benefit from the devices that science has developed to light up our homes. I am able to talk to you using this mic, thanks to technological advancement. Medical science allows doctors to diagnose and treat patients. Science and technology enhance the overall comfort and quality of human life. And what do I do as a preacher? I pray for you, for your well being, and for your peace. In short, Vikram and I are doing the same job. Both science and spirituality seek the Almighty's blessings for the prosperity of the human mind and body." Dear children, Dr. Vikram says that within a year he wants to build scientific facilities near the seacoast, replacing all the settlements that now stand there. Now, can you give up your abode? Can I give up my abode? Can we give up God's abode for such a great scientific mission? Dr. Kalam recalled how he witnessed a pin drop silence for a long moment. Then everyone got up and the whole church reverberated. Reverberated means echoed loudly with the deafening noise of a collective Amen. That means so be it. And so work on the research center was soon underway, but not without alternate accommodation being offered to the affected fishermen, the church, and the revered Pereira, Reverend Pereira. A few years later, in the early 1980s, Professor Satish Dhawan, the director of ISRO, under whom Dr. Kalam had made his first unsuccessful launch in 1970 and then a successful one in 1980, had provided him with more soul shaping wisdom. One day in 2012, we were discussing the number of PhDs Dr. Kalam had received. He said to me, "Srijan, Professor Dhawan had so many master's degrees, all from the best institutions, no less." So I asked him, "How one can become so academically accomplished?" He responded saying that academic brilliance is no different from the brilliance of a mirror, which can be diminished by a coating of dust. Only when the dust is removed does the mirror shine and the reflection becomes clear. We can remove the impurities obscuring our souls by living pure and ethical lives and by serving humanity. And then God will shine through us. These words took me back to my meeting with Dr. Kalam after my graduation from IIMA in 2009. At that time, at the time, he had advised me to use my degree and gold medal to transform the society I lived in. Back in the present moment, it suddenly struck me that Dr. Kalam's advice had in fact directly resonated. Resonated means echoed, resounded from Professor Dhawan's beliefs. The more I lived and worked with Dr. Kalam, the more I realized that though his words of wisdom, I was getting to learn from countless great minds. In April 2009, Dr. Kalam was invited to attend the 102nd birthday celebration of His Holiness Dr. Sri Sri Shivakumara Mahaswamiji in the Tumkur district of Karnataka. Mahaswamiji is a remarkable person who has dedicated his life to the service of humanity. His great contribution is the establishment of a free residential education system for more than 9,000 children in the ashram. The most astonishing aspect of the entire event of his birthday was that the 102-year-old Swamiji stood on his feet without any support. He looked as steady and alert as any other youngster present there. This display of inner strength touched Dr. Kalam deeply. A couple of days later, we were discussing this unusual birthday party. I said to him, "Sir, do you know only 4 out of 1 lakh people cross the age of 100. I had googled the subject beforehand. He replied, but how many of these 4 would be able to stand tall for half an hour, give a wise discourse, and then go on to feed thousands of children? Of course, nobody could know the exact answer to this question, but the question itself led to many other relevant queries. I wonder what powers Mahaswamiji possesses that keep him so strong at such an advanced age. Maybe it's a balanced diet and a healthy lifestyle, or perhaps it's genetics, I asked. Dr. Kalam sat contemplating deeply. He recollected the tenet of goodness of action from Pramukh Swamiji, then perhaps swimming in silence to the shores of Mahaparyaji, he gathered the sands of conscience to be our guide, our best friend. Deeper down in the space time of memory, he must have heard Professor Brahma Prakash's words about the need of living a pure and ethical life, and Father Parera's and Dr. Sarabhai's lessons of selflessness in service. Eventually, his thoughts would have settled on Swami Sivananda of Rishikesh, in whom he saw great tranquility, and finally they must have come full circle with the memory of the life of simplicity of his father, who always espoused the value of giving back. Espouse means gave support to. At long last, he spoke. It is the very spirit of what can I give, he elaborated. Mahaswamiji lives with the belief and ethos. Ethos means characteristic spirit of a culture or era, of our mission. He gives and gives education to famished minds, food to famished bodies. In giving so much, he becomes strong. His munificence means generosity, fuels his strength. That is what keeps him standing tall and active in life. The essence of a happy life and a peaceful society lies in one sentence. What can I give? Turning to me, he asked, what is the reverse of what can I give? Circumspectly, means cautiously, I replied, what can I take? Yes, he said. And that is the thought which is responsible for all the wrong we see around us. We think that we can take from the environment and destroy it indiscriminately. We think of what we can take from other humans, leading us to corruption and iniquity. This attitude of taking and taking even destroys families. To keep this planet livable and the human race thriving, we have to replace this attitude of what can I take with the goodness of what can I give. The gravity of the message struck me. This challenge became my silent motivation. 3 years later, in 2012, this idea became a reality as our What Can I Give movement, through which Dr. Kalam tried to combat corruption, environmental degradation, and social evils. It is important that we ask ourselves this question, for in the answer lies the truth of humanity. So go ahead and question yourself, what can I give? The answer will be astounding. Adapted from the What Can I Give by Srijan Pal Singh. So students, let us ask the question, what can I give to the society and not what the society has given to me? Again I repeat, what can I give to the society and not what the society has given to me? So let us always in our life start giving. Giving is the best thing. We need to learn to give and give. Thank you.